our open meeting and start with a roll call. Present.
Here.
Here.
Present.
He's come.
There's David Seymour. He's coming.
He went to the restroom.
Okay. First up is our public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the start of the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes, and criticism of individuals is not in order. And we have one public comment by Jennifer Johnson, and she'd like to speak about Tyler Elementary. If you could come to the podium so that the streaming, the people at home can hear also, please. Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jennifer Johnson, and I have had 3 boys go to Tyler over the past 10 years. We've always loved Tyler up until this year. My youngest is in 3rd grade, formerly Mr. Tuzzolino's class. At the beginning of the school year, my son was flourishing. He had high marks on his testing and report cards. Now he doesn't even want to go to school. I come to you with concerns regarding 3 specific people at Tyler: the sub Mr. Tree, the vice principal Miss Doherty, and the principal Miss Turner. These concerns come from my son also. The concerns I have for Mr. Tree is that he does not teach the class. He sits back and disciplines while the assistant teaches things they've learned from 2nd grade. His favorite phrase is "go to the office." He calls the kids crybabies. He has no communication with parents, and according to my son, they only work on math and writing. I've also heard from other parents, which I don't know is accurate or not, that he is not invited back to substitute at other schools because he has a difficult time handling young children. Vice Principal Doherty, she is allowed free reign when it comes to disciplining students. After she had Miss Ryan removed from the classroom, she came and told the students that they were not allowed to talk to Miss Ryan anymore, and if they did, she would get fired. She also told the students that they were not allowed to talk to anyone about what goes on in their classroom, or they would get in trouble. The following day, Miss Doherty returned to the classroom and told the students how very disappointed she was for them lying about her to their parents. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time believing an entire classroom came up with the same lie to tell their parents. And I do not teach my son to be quiet if he knows something is wrong. Lastly, Miss Turner. She always seems to be too busy to speak with parents, and when she finally is tracked down, she was quick to place blame and responsibility on the assistant principal. Miss Turner made it sound like she has no clue what is going on in her own school. There is a profound lack of communication, not only among the administration, but also with the parents. At this point, I don't even know if my son will get a report card at the end of the year. Miss Turner's response to my concerns is not allowing Miss Doherty to speak to my son's class without her present, and she has assured me that you are working on finding a replacement sub for Mr. Tuzzolino's class. It is really sad to see so many beloved Tyler teachers are not returning next year, and I was surprised to see Mr. Tuzzolino make such a lateral move so far into the school year. Lastly, I would like to commend Miss Ryan for doing her best to pick up where Mr. Tuzzolino left off and tried to keep morale up in the classroom. She created a profile on Class Dojo and kept up communication with parents. She purchased buzzards for the kids to play a learning trivia game. I was not worried about my son with her in the classroom. And right now, I do not feel my child's classroom is a safe place for him to be in. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, would you please if you don't mind, emailing it to the board and the superintendent? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is board correspondence. Are there any board correspondence or committee reports? No. Okay. Student board member correspondence. Next is the consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items A through H as attached. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Roll call, please. Yes, he did.
Sorry, I should have been over.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Next is old business, subject A, school psychology internship for 23-24, and this is an action item that was brought to us by Kyle Gertis, and it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the affiliation agreement and compensation for a school psychology intern for the 2023-2024 school years. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Subject B are bid results for site improvements, and this is an action item brought to us by Tammy Carson. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve base bid number 1 to Denler Inc. of Joliet, Illinois in the amount of $117,690. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve base bid number 2 and base bid number 3 to Elliott and Wood of DeKalb, Illinois for the total amount of $890,000. It is recommended that the Board of Education reject alternate bid number 3A, alternate bid number 3B, and alternate bid number 3C. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Subject C is the resolution approving the donation of real estate, and this is an action item brought to us by Cindy Carpenter and Armir Doka. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the resolution accepting the CATS property donation and authorizes the Director of Business and Finance to execute all documents necessary to facilitate the acquisition of the real estate. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 And thank you again for that donation from the Katz family. Item 7, future elementary school business. Subject A is the architect contract, and this is information and action brought to us by Tammy Carson. Tammy, do you want to say something? Okay.
Thank you. Yes, what I'm bringing forward tonight is the official contract with our architectural firm, Richard L. Johnson and Associates out of Rockford. We have been working with Richard L. Johnson for a number of years, approximately over 15 years. And we are recommending, moving forward with the contract as stated and included the addendum in the board packet. Scott Johnson, our contractor, Richard L. Johnson, is in the audience tonight. Should you have any direct questions for him? Otherwise, I'm here if you have any questions for me.
Are there any questions for Tammy or Scott?
I guess this information action should just be information.
Tammy, why is it information and action on the agenda?
We've been working with Scott and the Richard L. Johnson Associates for a number of months already in regards to the new elementary school project, and since this is well underway, we did need to move forward in getting this formalized as quickly as possible. And we will be also bringing forward on May 16th a recommendation for the construction management contract for the services for the new elementary also. So we wanted to make sure to finalize this as quickly as possible.
So I guess it can't be approved at the next meeting, so that's just information tonight and then action at the next meeting.
Tammy, can you hear that question? Does it
I'm asking you.
change? Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's up to the board. Are there objections to moving on it tonight?
I'm just curious, when's the last time that we put this business to bid?
Could Tammy?
There's a lot of architectural firms, and given the 15-year history, I understand that, but this is a public entity, so I'm just wondering when's the last time we actually went to bid on an architectural firm services contract?
The last time that I'm aware of is when we had the referendum, and it was before for the referendum, which would have been prior to 2009 when Portland opened up.
I mean,
It makes sense to bid it.
I was just say, I think given that we're a public institution, utilizing taxpayer money, it would make sense to not just keep evergreening a contract, especially given the amount of money we spend on architectural firm dollars. So my recommendation would be that we bid this out to, I would say equivalent level service type architectural firms. But I think it would behoove us to just ensure that you know, we're getting multiple bids.
Agreed.
That is, one thing I want to note is that professional services that are not a requirement for bidding. We can go out for an RFP for request for proposals, request for qualification. But it is being a professional service, there is a requirement to move forward with that. And with our long-term relationship with Richard L. Johnson and Associates and the support we've received over the years, as well as the support leading into this new elementary school, that's why we are bringing it forth into the formalization of the contract we have already, or the relationship we've already had in the past year.
Is there a price limit though?
Well, I
We
mean, I
go for
obviously
an
spent
RFP?
time in this business and, worked with a lot of different architectural firms, so I'm not saying that these rates are aggressive, they're not insane either, I just think it's always a good idea to get a comparative quote for services. And especially when it's been 12 years, these guys have basically just been rolling on a contract. I would think competition is healthy for a public institution, but that's just my 2 cents. I would say this for any kind of agreement.
Tammy, I'd like to ask, is there any particular concern about making it information action today that giving it 2 extra weeks is going to delay anything significant for us?
I don't feel it would bring any delay to this, but this would be issue of the part that we are going to be bringing in 3 new board members. We typically don't bring an item for information and crossover for approval with 3 new board members seating on May 2nd.
I guess my priority is to be transparent to the community, so I think that's where I'm at with it. So whatever
It'll-
the rest of the board feels.
It'll be old business, so this board will act on it.
We'll see. I think we act on that anyway, yeah.
Okay. So does somebody want to make a motion to table it until our next board meeting?
I guess I'm feeling like we should talk about whether or not this board wants to just roll over a contract or get any sort of competitive price intelligence.
Well, I don't, based on what Tammy's saying, they don't require a board vote for architectural contract, is that so? And, I mean, I guess,
So they don't require an RFP process. It's not something that's a mandatory
Right.
public bid process, but I'm saying is we should get some comparative quotes.
I mean, I'm fine with that, I think that that's a smart thing to do, too. I guess I'm just wondering if we're overstepping, like, is there a price limit, because there's things that they don't have, that don't require board permission to do, or board vote, or is that what, I mean, we're approving the contract. So,
I think because of the type of service it is,
Right.
that they don't have to bid it. And so I guess I mean, you said, looking at the numbers, you don't feel that they're aggressive. I understand you're talking about competition. I do understand where what Tammy is saying about a relationship that is there, and I guess if the numbers look way off, that would be more concerning. So I guess I'm not as concerned with getting another comparable, but if it doesn't need to be action tonight, it won't delay anything, then I think that we could act at our next meeting to provide that kind of time.
no, I mean,
And
I think
transparency.
there's a problem with it. I mean, I would support doing an RFP, I mean, if that's what you're suggesting, I don't know.
Or
if
just a
the rest of the board
comparative
would.
bid, period.
Yeah.
They don't have to go to a full-blown RFP, but I'm just saying, price integrity is price integrity, and if I were hiring an architect on my house where you were, my gut is you'd probably have more than one person look at it and quote it, right? I mean, so it's just about price integrity, and because we're playing with, the money is coming from the city, and I think it's our diligence to do due diligence, right? That's the whole point of this board, is fiduciary responsibility. So, I mean, if we've had a vendor who's never been price challenged in 12 years, I think that's kind of long enough. But that's just my personal opinion. That's up to you guys to.
If I may, I would make the projects come forth, and these are brought forth with every project I presented to the board. And over the years, a lot of the from an architectural services or professional services is relationship based, and knowledge that the company brings to us in regards to the projects across all of our buildings. That part of the professional services piece of it is a critical piece. The costs that are listed, or the rates and the fees that are listed, are comparable to the industry, and so much is based more on the relationship and the responsiveness of the firm. And I do think, because I have been working with Scott and Tim's company for so many years, that responsiveness has been top notch, regardless of if it's a project that, a $40,000 project or a $4 million project or a new elementary. Scott and his team have brought forth full support and have answered all of our questions whenever we have needed them on the spot, and been available anytime we have needed them. So the services part of it is the relationship we've established is even such a high priority over pricing out to look to see if we can get a lower bidder in regards to what the price and rates could be coming in my personal opinion.
And Tammy, I'm not suggesting that we don't move forward with them. I think if we get other quotes, we're just getting other quotes. It doesn't mean we have to accept or approve one that isn't theirs. Again, all I'm saying is it should be a competitive environment whenever we're signing any kind of long-term contract. My opinion is it should be a competitive environment, plain and simple. I'm not saying that relationships aren't worth something. I'm not saying that they're not even better than the other service providers potentially, but simply we don't know who those are, right? And we don't know what their prices are. So we're basically saying is we're comfortable in the situation we're in, and we're not interested in seeing if there's even a better partner out there. So I'm merely saying is it is a good course of due diligence for us to do these things.
I agree with that. I'll make a first motion that we,
Wait, before you
have
make a
this-
motion, can I ask another question?
Yeah,
Tammy?
sure.
So that there's not a motion on the table. Tammy, what does that process look like?
The RFP process for architectural services is we would put it out similar to a bid, except it's asking for qualifications and certain requirements to whatever architectural firm would be interested. And then it's similar to what we're doing in construction management, where we would bring them in, and it's again not necessarily brought in by a price or a decision based on price. It's based on the relationship and the comfort level with the firms that we're interviewing, and the selection process through that. And then once the firm is chosen, or a firm that there is more than one being considered, then you're negotiating price after that point. It's not like a typical construction bid where all of a sudden numbers are on the table and you can choose from that. It is still service and relationship based, not percentage based or cost based.
Thank you. Did anyone want to say anything else before a motion is made?
Yes, Tammy, if we were to get more competitors at this point, what's the timeline that we're looking for to move forward?
That's a really good question. Think about that. We are probably, I would say, a minimum of 6 weeks or more out from making a selection from the publication, the collection, the review, the interview, the selection, and then approval. Again, similar to what we're going to be doing for construction management services. So we're probably a good 6 to 8 weeks away from that. And that potentially we could have a delay when it comes to the elementary school. I have not had that discussion with Scott or confirmed, but that could cause a delay should they want to take a step back at this point and until we have a final decision.
It's not that we couldn't even allow them to have a contract for the grade school. I'm talking about how long is this contract for? I don't remember the dates on it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I think he said, how long is the contract for? That's what you were asking?
Is it
Yeah.
just for one building?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's just for the one building, right, Tammy?
It would be this building, and the our projects fall under this architectural contract. This is not strictly for the elementary school.
Oh, I
And
That's
so
what I
a
thought.
decision would be made at some point to, discontinue services with this architectural firm.
I see. Okay, where are people at?
You just want a motion, or?
You want me to read the recommendation that's in the,
No, I was gonna motion that we move it,
sorry.
that we table it for action until the next meeting, so that we're maintaining transparency.
Oh.
And if you want a motion,
Honestly, this is just me sharing best practices with the rest of the board. Because
I am in
I will
agreement.
not be sitting here halfway through the meeting next week, so you guys do what you guys do. I'm just saying, it's a free market economy, right? Competition is a good thing, especially when you're spending other people's money. So we should always be challenging our vendors constantly. And I know there are ones that we want to continue to work with, and we can make those choices to work with them, even in spite of the fact that they might be higher. But if you allow them to go unchecked without price competition for decades at a time, incrementally that budget goes up all the time. And if you haven't noticed, in the last 4 years, our budget has gone up significantly year over year over year. So this is called good standard fiduciary responsibility, right? That's what I'm trying to import here. So that choice will be yours next week. But I would recommend that we move it to next week. Certainly, I'll vote for that.
I appreciate the feedback, though. I think it
Can
makes
I-
sense.
You do the vote. But can I ask you like a point of order question? So Sarah or someone can make a motion, we vote on that, and then do we still read this one? Or we don't because we have a new motion? Okay, alright, I just wanted to make sure I understood so did you wanna make a motion?
yeah, I motion that we move to table this until, next meeting for a vote.
Is there a second?
Second?
Point of clarification, are you saying make just today information and next week action?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay,
With that understanding.
there's a second, roll call please. Jeremy seconded.
Yes.
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 Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeremy. And Mordecai.
Thank you, Tammy. Next is new business. Subject A, student discipline for student number 041823A, and it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the expulsion and abeyance for student number 041823A as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
No?
Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
Item or subject B is student discipline for student number 041823B, and it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the expulsion and abeyance for student number 041823B as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please. Yes.
No?
Yes.
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 Subject C is City of DeKalb High School home football game, intergovernmental agreement 2023-2024, and this is on for information and action by Peter Goff, and I'll let him approach and share with us.
Good evening, everybody.
You-
What we're doing is, this is the ambulance service that the city of DeKalb provides to us. It's been the same since, the price has been the same since I've been there. You know, our home games fluctuate. Next year, we have 4 home, football games, with week 9 being in flux because we don't know where we're gonna finish, if we would host a game or not host a game within the conference.
Peter, why is it action tonight?
Because Jackie told us no. Is that they sent this to me, so we have to get it, and then it goes to the city. Just get it, I mean, we've done this every year since I've been here. We just have to get it set, so everything's set for the price, which I said has stayed the same since I've been there. And then we're able to go and I send them the schedule of when they need to be there, and they show up every single time.
Okay, any questions for Peter? Okay, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the attached agreement. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please. Yes.
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 Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
Subject D is out-of-state travel secondary EL support leader, and this is Information Action, Sarah Montgomery and AJ Crook.
Good evening. AJ is out for this evening with a conflicting event. This is for Information and Action. As you may remember, we had a trip scheduled to go to Portland, Oregon, and after spending essentially 2 days at O'Hare Airport, the conference was canceled due to weather and airplane issues. So we had refunds issued to us, and this is some of those funds that rolled over from that canceled trip. So we were trying to find a great conference to replace some of those funds with, and we came upon this conference. It would be great for Jen Gilly, who's directly responsible for working with teachers at the secondary level that serve our Ls. And this is a conference that's geared directly for the secondary level, which is fantastic to find such a focused conference. It is in Washington, D.C., May 8th to the 9th, and it focuses on curriculum instruction, assessment, policies. There's a lot of great networking and leading researchers and experts that will present at this conference. I think it would be a great opportunity, but we do need an action tonight so we can get the registration in and all of the other things, since it's a quick turnaround. So my apologies, but we really want to make sure we're spending the funds appropriately.
Any questions?
You guys are gonna be able to get in such a short timeline?
I
Yeah,
think
flying
so.
with Southwest. I heard today they shut down again.
All right, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the out-of-state travel request for Jennifer Gilly to attend the Conference on Improving Education for Secondary English Learners in Washington, D.C., May 8th through 9th, 2023. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Subject E is the Andy Frayne Services, Inc. contract extension, and this is information, Armir Doka and Cynthia Carpenter.
So currently we use Andy Frayne services for our crossing guard services. So to give you a little quick history, the city of DeKalb was using through an IGA, through an intergovernmental agreement, was using these services for about 4 years, and then it came to us. We did a bidding for these purposes on the 2018 school year. So Andy Frayne was one of the few that submitted their bids, so we have been using them since then. And there's not too many companies out there, so we want to continue and extend the services with them. So this year, there is an increase of about 9.2%, which is from the current rate of $19.73 to $21.51. So again, the rate is about 9.02%, but this is mostly because of the minimum wage increase. Minimum wage increase is growing from $13 to $14 in January 24. That's about 7%. So you can see that most of it, the bulk of it, is coming from that cost. So we're just bringing this as informational, and next time will be for action item.
Any questions?
I mean, in the past, we did have, if you recall, the city of DeKalb used to provide the crossing guards for us and then changed the intergovernmental agreement, so then it was our responsibility, and we felt at that time to contract that service out. We want to continue to do that as well. So. And again, most of that increase is because of the cost of the minimum wage that's going up, which we're all getting hit by at this point.
How many competitors are in this space?
Not a whole lot. Actually, when we bid this out, only 2 bid, and the other one was out of a different state. I believe it was out of North Carolina. So this is really there's not a lot of vendors out there that do this service.
And in hiring for it, it can be tough too, because it's just a couple, like basically an hour in the morning, so, and the afternoons. And then we have crossing guard intersections for the elementaries as well as for the middle schools. And a couple of them have 2 crossing guards to help out, especially, actually right out over here, we need to do 2 as well, so not a lot of, vendors in this space, so.
Okay.
And they have worked with us very well, and even through COVID and everything, they were very flexible, so.
Thank you.
Consensus to bring it back for action?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Subject G is the 2023-2024 salary and benefits for unaffiliated staff. And, oh, did I skip one? Sorry. Sorry, subject F, 2023-2024 differential request information, Deidre Salas.
Good evening. Per the DCTA contract, we have a deadline of January where we accept requests for new differentials to make changes or add new clubs, activities, sports, things of that nature. We had our differential meeting. We reviewed the ones that were submitted. Of those submitted, that's what's being brought to you tonight with the request for the 23-24 school year. The fiscal impact is significant. It is governed by our DCTA contract, but a total cost of $146,651.44. There are a couple, I believe 5, that you have already approved at our March 21st board meeting, and those were based on spring activities where there were concerns about supervision and needed immediate approval. Any questions?
So on these, the ones that are, like yellow,
Those are the ones that
Those
have
are-
already been approved.
oh, those were the ones
Those
that
were
were already
approved March 21st.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. Oh, I see where it says that. Any questions? Consensus to bring it back for action?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Yes, okay.
Yes.
All right, subject G, 2023-2024 salary and benefits for unaffiliated staff. Teacher Salas, Cindy Carpenter, and Armir Doka. And it is on for information and action.
Annually, our unaffiliated employees, we look at current salaries and we look at CPI. CPI for this year has been higher than it has been in the past, but we do have a limit based upon the tax levy. So that increase amount for CPI is 5% this year. So we are bringing forward the recommendations for the increases for the 23-24 school year.
Is there a reason it's for information and action?
That's been that's consistent to the practice. These always come forward in one board meeting. I'm sorry, I was gonna say that.
Are there any questions? Okay, I will read the action. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the unaffiliated salary and benefits recommendations as attached. Is there a motion?
So move.
I'll second. Roll call?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Oh, I see. You're still up there.
We'll be here
Subject
for a
H,
few minutes.
Salary and benefits for annually employed substitutes. Information, Deidre Salas, Cindy Carpenter, and Armir Doka.
So annually employed subs are very important to our buildings. This is a position where individuals hold a substitute certificate, but they are hired in that building to work every day of student attendance to support whatever may go on in that building. The their primary assignment on a day could be a teaching assignment or it could be an assistant assignment. But this has supported us prior to COVID, but was a help during COVID, but continues to be a help as we continue to experience staffing shortages and COVID and other things. The individuals that work in these positions also would benefit greatly from having the professional development that other folks in the building have. They are teaching, they're supporting the curriculum. They need the training to be able to do so. They're also disciplining students and directing students, so we really want them to have the opportunity to be present and to know what those expectations are. With that, these individuals currently get 4 personal days. We have had folks reach out to us that work in these capacities to say that it's hard for them because they don't have the sick days and they don't have the other benefits, but are expected to work every day like other employees in the district. So we're bringing forward a proposal this evening that would make them, the request is to make them a 180-day employee so that they work every day of the school year so that they are able to get the professional development and any other trainings and attend meetings that pertain to the buildings that they are assigned to. In addition to that, there's a recommendation to grant 5 sick days and to give insurance for the employee at a percentage cost shared between the board and the employee, but then offering dependent coverage at 100% cost to the staff member. The recommendation for the insurance is based upon the government's, help me out, thank you, the ACA, the Affordable, thank you, Affordable Care Act, I drew a blank there, the Affordable Care Act. So based upon the amount of money that they're making and the amount of days that they're working, we could be found in violation of not adhering to ACA laws. So that's why we're bringing forward the recommendation for salary.
What are the qualifications for an annually employed sub?
At least a bachelor's degree.
So the same as a substitute teacher, but okay.
Yes.
So we have approximately 30 of them a year, am I remembering that correctly?
Correct.
And then, I'm not sure I'm clear on how these numbers line up with regard to the impact annually. I know the total estimated cost is about $424,000 for all 30 positions, but it doesn't show me what we actually spend on those 30 positions right now.
So currently it's pay, and the pay is $140 per day. So that's what we're paying. We are.
So we have a ballpark on what we actually spend.
So we have that in the body, number 1, changing the pay from 140 a day, 25 to.
So it'd be like 25 times 30, I guess, right?
Yes.
My small brain's trying to do that math real quick.
The fiscal impact that's showing here is the increase from the 140 to the 170. So that first number, the salary increase, which also that includes TRS costs and payroll costs. So that's the increase from going to the 140 to the 170 per day.
Okay, so it's basically 5K times 30 essentially.
Yeah, right.
So
Right. And then the health insurance piece is if every person took the most expensive plan. So that's the highest cost it could be. So that's if it, so that is the maximum cost based on our current rates of what that would look like.
Okay, so it really is adding.
Potentially. Probably the insurance cost is a little, I mean, it probably won't be that high, but we wanted to cost it as high as possible. If every single annually employed sub took advantage of the insurance plan.
So they get no insurance at this point.
Yep.
Correct.
So it's about $750,000 plus.
The only benefit they get now is 4 personal days. The daily pay and 4 personal days. After they've worked 30 days.
Okay. And not
So that's a real incentive then
not to sound like, insensitive, but are we struggling to fill those positions? Is that why we're doing this?
We are. And when we do fill them, they stay in them until they find a different job. So being able to retain as well.
I think I visited, oh my gosh, I visited a lot of schools, but I believe it was at Lincoln, and I was talking to the principal, and she talked about how important these positions are and how, how much of a struggle it is, for people to kind of sustain a living with, you know, with what they're making. So I think this is a great initiative to try to, you know, incentivize people to stay in those positions and hopefully continue to help us and support us in the positions that we need, not only in those particular schools, but across the district, especially when as we see the shortage of teachers and the need being so high.
A thought, something to consider, is we're talking about wholesale change here for every single person, right? It's even people who are brand new, who have zero experience as annual teachers in our classrooms. Would it not make some sense to consider maybe saying, okay, year 2 this kicks in as sort of a carrot for people to come back, and that we like, because if we have someone that we don't want to return, then obviously we wouldn't offer that to them. I don't know, this seems like a pretty huge benefit for basically someone that's just off the street we've never had before. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. I think this would be a nice reward for teachers who did a great job that we want back. I'm just putting it out there for consideration. Unless we're really, really struggling to get people, I would think that might be, you know, or even accelerate it, you know what I mean, for to come back for more years, you know, more percentages. But I'm always a fan of dangling the carrot and giving people nice increases when they do good work.
So the insurance part, I will say, is to keep us in compliance. So the insurance is we have to move that direction, or the fines of what we could be penalized with are greater than even the pay of this.
Oh, so we actually have to offer the insurance.
We do.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep,
Because they're
it
here,
is
they're
federally regulated.
they're like they're assigned to an actual building that's
Oh,
consistently,
okay, well that makes more sense then.
and they're on payroll more than 30 days.
Okay, thank you.
Simple question. Why would an individual prefer this level of employment versus a traditional teacher?
Good question. I've asked that same question to someone in the position. She actually is a teacher that holds a PEL. She's an employee that holds a PEL and could be a teacher for us. She likes the flexibility of this, and she likes not having some of the responsibility that comes with being assigned a classroom teacher. And it meets our need at the same time.
Consensus to bring it back for action?
Yes.
Item. Now we're at item I, okay, 2023-2024 sub rates and minimum wage. This is information. Deidre Salas, Cindy Carpenter, Amir Doka.
Okay, hold on. I think my things got out of order. I'll really try to be prepared in one moment. Okay, so to tag along with Cindy and Amir, their discussion about the crossing guards, minimum wages increasing for the year 2024 to $14. This started 3 years ago with the state's initiative to get to $15 by 2025. So each year for the last 3 years, I've come to you and requested to move our minimum wage by $1. Coming forward again to ask the same, so that any of our positions that pay at the minimum wage do move from the current $13 to $14. In addition to that, I provided the pay scale for our subs. We're only asking for increases in the areas in which it affects the minimum wage. It's to be compliant with the state of Illinois.
And I just, so for, because these are subs, but for like instructional assistants that are in these positions, they're also going up to like
So those
each
wages are
year right now.
negotiated by each contract.
Right.
And we made those adjustments at the time of negotiation, or if we had not, there are MOUs in place.
Okay.
So this is separate from
Yeah.
those in collective bargaining agreements.
Okay.
Wouldn't the 23-24 proposed annual sub rate go up to 170?
Yes, Yeah, that one is separate based upon the proposal we just went through.
Just noticed it was the same one.
Any questions about this? Consensus to bring it back for action?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, teacher.
I have more.
I see that. Subject J, 2023, ISB Ministry of Spain Agreement for Recruitment of Foreign Teachers Information. Teacher Sal.
So items J, K, and L are separate, but they're all related. These are the three partnerships that we have with various groups for our recruitment of teachers for our bilingual program. So the first one is the ISB Ministry of Spain Agreement. This is with the Illinois State Board of Education, where they partner directly with the Ministry of Spain. Myself and Minerva have both been to Spain to do the recruitment. The recruitment changed a little bit because of COVID, so we now don't have to travel to Spain, unfortunately. But we are provided a pool of candidates that have been thoroughly vetted by both the Ministry of Spain and ISB, and then they express interest in like what parts of the country of the United States they may want to work in, what area they may want to teach in. All of these individuals have been tested and they're granted a visiting teacher, teaching PEL, so they're qualified, certified, they're fully bilingual, and totally capable of meeting our needs as a bilingual teacher. So this is bringing forward the intergovernmental agreement to continue our partnership with them. There's no cost to this program, but they do have an expectation that when the individuals come to us, that we provide some hosting until they're able to establish themselves here in DeKalb. And that's what we've been doing. We have staff members that step up to host them, let them stay in their home, get them acclimated with the city of DeKalb, show them around, help them find apartments, get a social security card, get a bank account, get a cell phone, buy a car, get some furniture, do all of that stuff. And then continue to support them at some level once they have all of that and as they acclimate to being a teacher in the United States.
So far, have we had anyone use this?
We've had two individuals. I wish AJ was here because she knows all the details and the specifics. We did not, I believe it's in the board cover.
Oh, teacher.
Oh, yes, I didn't even know you were here. Come up, Jennifer. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Gilly and I am the secondary multilingual TOSA, so I work directly with these teachers. The question was about the teachers from Spain?
Yes.
Right now we currently have 2 teachers from Spain, and then we actually just interviewed somebody from Spain earlier today also, and I'm not sure where that went, but they have been great and essential to our program, and the partnership includes professional development opportunities for teachers as well, and cultural exchanges as well, and has been just very beneficial. And what teachers said about acclimating the teachers, there is a lot of work that goes into that, and a lot of teachers have been very kind and very helpful in helping to welcome those teachers, and we actually have a couple teachers that have worked in many different countries and have said that DeKalb is the most welcoming place they've ever been.
So in the 21-22 school year, we received candidates from Spain, and as Jennifer said, in 22-23, we received 2.
Any other questions? Consensus to bring this back for action?
Yes.
Okay. Subject L, 2023 Spirit Cultural Exchange Host School Agreement for Recruitment of Foreign Teachers. Information.
Yep, very similar program. It's a different organization.
You skip K.
Oh man, I'm so sorry, guys.
J, K, and L are together. It's similar.
Yeah,
but
sorry,
different.
K. First K, 2023 Green Heart Exchange Teach USA Host Agreement for Recruitment of Foreign Teachers. Information. Thank you. for
Green Heart
catching
2 is
that.
a very similar program. It's a different organization. They recruit from a variety of countries, but they actually have teachers that speak other languages, not just Spanish. That's our current need, so we work with them on those that speak Spanish. We have, this will be our 3rd year partnering with Green Heart. I'm looking for the numbers.
I don't know about elementary, I only.
I have it in here. We began our partnership in 21-22. The first year we received one candidate from Brazil, and then in 22-23 we didn't get a candidate. But we continue to work with them. And there's no cost with this program, not even the hosting aspect.
Let's do it. Consensus?
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's do it.
Consensus to bring it back for action?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now subject L, 2023 Spirit Cultural Exchange House School Agreement for Recruitment, Foreign Teachers. Information.
Spirit is very much similar. It is, again, a different organization that recruits very much like Greenheart. Although these two programs aren't necessarily partners with ISB, ISB does endorse that we do use them as a recruitment source. We began our partnership with them in 21-22. The first year, we received one candidate. I'm sorry, I don't have the country from Colombia. Okay, Colombia. And then in 22-23, we did not get a candidate. It's been very tough in the last year because of limits that have been put on recruitment from out of the country due to COVID restrictions. But we are hopeful that all of that is changing and that we will be able to garner some new candidates to come with us.
Consensus to bring it back for action?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Deidre.
Mhm.
And you're still here, subject M. Well, you and Sarah Montgomery. Subject M, staffing request, 2023-2024 music for DHS and CRMS. And this is information, Sarah Montgomery and Deidre Salas.
I'm going to punt to Sarah.
No problem. This request is to increase for our music. We had an increase enrollment request for the high school. So we had staff that were split between buildings. So we looked across all of secondary to look at what our allocation needs and shifted. And when we shift, we also gain back instructional minutes because we don't have to account for travel time, which takes quite a bit of time. So what we'll do is some shifting between Clinton Rosette and the high school shift, and that will allow at the high school to cover their additional sections that they need due to the increased enrollment requests for their classes, and then also to have additional lesson periods that they had lost over the last several years. Probably needed to put in an overload. We could not do that now. We would need to have this FTE request. We can't avoid an overload, which an overload would just be a Band-Aid, and per the teacher's contract, not allowable because it's just for small, short gaps. This is a long-term solution for this challenge. Then also, Clinton Rosette currently has a halftime position that has not been filled this year, so we're increasing that between the high school and Clinton Rosette to 1.0. The posting will come out as Clinton Rosette 1.0 because we'll take the allocation at Clinton Rosette and move that over to the high school, some of their other staff. Any questions?
Questions? Consensus to bring this back for action?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Subject N, the contracted school psychologist for 23-24 is not ready. The contract isn't ready, and so we need to remove it from the agenda. And so I would motion to remove subject N, contracted school psychologist for 23-24 from the agenda. Is there a motion, or is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Subject O, Northwestern Illinois Association 2023-2024 service contract, and this is information from Kyle Gertis.
Hi, good evening. Northwestern Illinois Association is a special education cooperative that we have been utilizing as a district for the last several years. NIA provides services that we don't necessarily employ in districts, such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, orientation and mobility, interpreting services, professional development, and support and coaching for our low incidence programs, as well as deaf and hard of hearing support. The service agreement before you is the overall total cost that's projected based on our need assessment that we did in February is $1,675,277. On average, about 75% of this is paid through out of our idea grant fund. And so I'd say generally speaking, 75% in that, for example, this year, because we had actually an increase in the amount of money that we received through our idea grant, we're able to cover more than 75% of the overall cost for this year's services. We won't know necessarily our rollover funds until the fall for our idea grant for next school year. But if it's possible to pay use more grant funds to cover more than 75% of the overall cost of the NIA service agreement, that is something that we would look to do. And with that, are there any questions?
Any questions?
No.
Consensus to bring this back for action?
Yes.
Yes. You didn't have a question, did you, Jenny? No, okay. Sorry, you looked like you were maybe considering something. Subject P is the school counselor and web coordinator summer hour request, and this is information. Kyle Gertis.
Similar to the last agenda item, this is something that is brought forward every year for the spring semester. Past practice has been that our high school counselors, our middle school counselors, and our web coordinators, and web stands for where everyone belongs, requires hours to work over the summer for a variety of reasons. So for example, our high school counselors are busy working on course scheduling and adjustments at the conclusion of the spring semester. And then they also support over the course of the summer as students take additional classes which impact what their fall schedule could look like. They make those adjustments, and they also work on building out the student schedule leading up to the start of the school year. Middle school counselors work in the summer, not as many hours as our high school counselors. However, they do provide tours to new students and families. They work on building out schedules for students, all of which needs to be done prior to the start of the school year. And then finally, our Where Everyone Belongs is a really awesome program that we offer at both middle schools that serves, and I'm going to oversimplify this, but basically serves as a orientation for our 6th grade students that come in every year. It connects them with 8th grade web leaders that have gone through an application process to be selected as leaders within the building. They are partnered with a group of 6th graders. Prior to the start of the school year, there's an orientation and what they are the web kickoff days. But then there are events that are done during the school day throughout the course of the year as well. In order to have that program operational and prepared for that orientation at the start of the school year, our web coordinators have utilized hours over the summer to prepare that, whether it be planning, but also coordination with our web leaders to make sure that they're prepared and trained when our 6th graders show up for orientation. In total, we would be requesting a maximum of 1,332 summer hours at each individual person's per diem rate, and the maximum total of that would be $93,175.89. And with that, I'll open up any questions.
Any questions?
No.
Consensus to bring it back for action?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
All right. Item 9, superintendent update.
You know what that means? It means almost over.
Wait.
I wanted to get started with, first I just want to take you back a couple of weeks ago to March 31st, when 3 of our outbuildings located just south of Huntley Middle School were damaged from the storm, which included the grounds building, the salt bin, and a lean-to. In addition, 2 district trucks were damaged. One that had the back window broken out, and then the other has a number of Johnson scratches from the storm. The grounds building is about a 7,000 square foot building that is a steel building with a wood frame that is over 40 years old. This building sustained significant roof and structural damage. The, the bulk salt bin is 2,500 square feet. Foot structure, which was the old greenhouse when the high school was located on the property, and was repurposed as a storage for the district's bulk salt. This building was completely destroyed with all of the exterior torn off. The lean-to is a 400 square foot structure. The structure was shifted off of its concrete base and damaged. On April 10th, the Highland Engineering PC conducted a structural inspection of the grounds building and determined that the building is unsafe for occupancy, including short-term occupancy. The report states that the financial cost of restoring the building outweighs the cost of raising the building and constructing a new building. As of today, the insurance company has inspected the property and has not provided the information about how much they will be indemnifying the district for the claim. Based on the structural engineer's report, the grounds equipment and supplies needed to function on a daily basis have temporarily been relocated to the maintenance building, and all equipment that can be outside has been moved outside. This is only a temporary solution because the space is not large enough to accommodate both departments for an extended amount of time. Jeff Potter and Tammy Carson are actively looking for a location to rent until a plan can be put together for a long-term solution for the department. More information will be provided to the board as it becomes available. I think Tammy's still on the call, so if there are any questions, she can help us answer. Okay, Tammy. Okay. Wonderful. Next up is the district logo update. I know that everyone's wondering what's going on. So we have 2 logos that we have now shared with Ed Center staff through each of the departments. We've shared the logos again with schools to get back information from schools by students and by staff. And then there'll be an updated version for everybody else across the district in my upcoming newsletter. And in that case, ready to hear any feedback and looking to hear some good vibes on which one can then represent the district as a whole, all 12 schools and all of the employees that work for the district. Let's see. So that's that. Next board meeting, we'll be saying goodbye to our folks that will not be joining us, and we'll miss you all. And we will be seating our new members. We will also be celebrating a number of staff for either retirement, award winning, waiting to hear if they've won an award, and those kind of things. So we're excited to hear about that. Also next week is Administrative Assistant Office Staff Day. We're celebrating everybody and everyone who is, it fits into that work group. I'm very grateful for the work that all of our office assistants, office staff, and administrative assistants do for all of us that keeps our schools running, making sure that our offices run smoothly, that there's some of us that keep me in line, and everything else that gets done. So we'll make sure that we celebrate those folks when the time comes. So that's it for me.
Any questions? No? Okay, with that, our meeting will be adjourned. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.